Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ryan Awesome, and welcome to the Ryan Awesome Show. Now, before we get into the show, first off, man, if you haven't done this already, man, what are you waiting for, man? Hit the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. And right next to that subscribe button, there's a bell. Make sure you click on that bell so you're the first ones to know when my next video will come out because I'm here each and every single week. So make sure you hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. Hit the thumbs up. And if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. And then next to that subscribe button, there's a bell. You click on that bell. And when you click on that bell, you'll be the first ones to know when my next video is uploaded. And one last thing. Don't forget to be awesome. So yeah, don't forget to be awesome. And yeah, man, sit back, chillax, grab something to eat, grab something to drink because you're watching the Ryan Awesome Show. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ryan Awesome Show. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ryan Awesome, and welcome to the Ryan Awesome Show. Now, today on the Ryan Awesome Show, we'll be talking about Impact Wrestling for July 29th, 2021. Man, tonight's show, man, this is a good show, man. Really good show. I thought they did a really good job at building up for next week's show. You know, with that 6-man tag team match that they have coming up next week with Eddie Edwards, Sami Callihan, and Frankie Kazarian, who made his return tonight. So this is Frankie Kazarian's first night back in Impact Wrestling for after a long time. I think they said 7 years or something like that. But yeah, man, they did a great job tonight at building up for next week's show, and they did a great job at building up towards Homecoming. That's this Saturday. So yeah, man. And you know, as far as the matches on the show, you know they were okay. They were fine. You know, it didn't. You know, it wasn't as important, but there were 2 matches on the show that were important. But you know, the matches they were just there. But the matches that were important were the tag team match with Bey and Jay White versus the Good Brothers. So I thought that was good, you know, because Bey he wants to, or Jay White rather, he's recruiting Bey to the Bullet Club, and so you know I love the interaction between those two because Bey he actually has to prove himself if he wants to join the Bullet Club. So I love that interaction that they had tonight, and of course Moose versus Chris Sabin was the main event. So I thought that was a great match too. So we might be seeing a rematch with those two again, based off of what happened at the end of the match. But I'm gonna get through that. I'm gonna get to that later, man. And another thing, man, just the fans being there. I say that time and time again, man. The fans, they make the show better. They can either make a show or they can break a show. And Impact Wrestling, man, they've been without a crowd for the longest, and just them having the fans in general in Impact Wrestling, man, it just made that show better, man. Just made it completely better. And so yeah, man. So that was the Impact Wrestling. So yeah, that was Impact Wrestling for July 29th, 2021. And yeah, man, just like what I say in my intro all the time, man, hit the thumbs up. If you haven't done it already, just hit the thumbs up. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. And then next to that subscribe button is a bell. Make sure you click on that bell so you're the first ones to know when my next video is uploaded because I'm here every single week, man. Not Monday. God, no, not Monday. But yeah, Tuesday for NXT, Wednesday for AEW Dynamite, Thursday for Impact Wrestling, and you know, Saturdays and Sundays for the pay-per-views, whether it's Impact Wrestling, AEW, or WWE. And so yeah, man. So we started off the show. So we had Gia Miller. She was backstage. She interviews Scott D'Amore. So she was outside his office, And so, she had a word to say to Scott D'Amore because he had like a huge announcement. And so she knocked on the door. Scott D'Amore came out, and Scott, he said that he has a huge announcement. And so Tommy Dreamer, he interrupted the interview. And so Tommy, he told Scott that, there needs to be a number one contender for the world title, for the Impact World Championship. And so Scott, he had told Tommy Dreamer, like, hey, man, why don't you take care of it, man? You know, now that you a part of management now, how about you do it? I have faith in you, buddy. You can do this. You got this. And so, yeah, that was it with that. And Tommy Dreamer, he did ended up taking care of it. And so, yeah, that was it with that. And so, right after that, we had our first match of the night, which was a tag team match. And it was the Good Brothers who are the Impact World Tag Team Champions. That's Doc Gallows and Karl Anderson versus Chris Bey and Jay White, who is the Never Openweight Champion. And so, yeah, man, going into this match, I said this last week, man. They booked themselves into a corner with this match because neither team can lose. Like Gallows and Anderson, they can't lose because they're the Impact World Champions, and Jay White, he can't lose either because he's the Never Openweight Champion in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So the only person that was the only odds out was Chris Bey. So they went with Chris Bey to get pinned, which was probably the right move. Because Chris Bey, he's not holding any championships, but you have both members of the opposite team holding the championship. So that's why they went with Gallows and Anderson to win. But yeah, man. But yeah, this match was good. It was really good to open up the show. And so yeah, so White and Anderson, they were going back and forth, and then the babyfaces, they took control of the match. We had body blows from Gallows to Bey. And so we had a vertical delayed suplex to Chris Bey from Gallows, and the crowd started counting. And so Gallows, he had dropped him with the suplex, I think after 16 seconds, or in that 16-second mark. And so at that point, the heels, they took control of the match. And we had a clothesline from hell to Chris Bey from Gallows, and he kicked out. And we had a diving crossbody to Gallows from Bey to create some space. And so we had a hot tag to White. He took out Anderson. And we had a DDT to both Anderson and Gallows. So he hit one on Anderson first, and then he hit another one. Or he hit the other DDT on Gallows. And we had a spinning brain buster to Karl Anderson from White, and he kicked out. And we had a torture rack neck breaker to Anderson from Chris Bey, and he kicked out. And so Gallows, so one of these guys, they took out Gallows out of the ring. Or Gallows, rather, he took out one of these guys outside the ring. I think it was Jay White. He took out Jay White outside the ring. And so we had the Good Brothers. They tried to go for the Magic Killer on Chris Bey, but White, he had stopped the move. And so the Good Brothers, they took out White. And so we had a choke slam to Chris Bey from Gallows. And to end the match, we had the Magic Killer to Chris Bey from the Good Brothers to win the match. So the Good Brothers win the match. And, just like what I said earlier about the outcome of the match, it probably was the right move to give Gallows and Anderson the win because they're the Impact World Tag Team Champions. And, of course, you cannot have your champions lose. Impact done it a lot by having their champions lose, which I'm not a fan of, but they did the right thing. They did the right thing by having Gallows and Anderson win. And, Jay White, even though he was on a losing team, he did not get pinned. It was a learning lesson. It was a learning lesson for Chris Bey. Like, if he wants to join the Bullet Club, he has to do more than that, And so, yeah, man. So Chris Bey, he took the pin. He ate the pin, which was probably the right move. And, I asked this question earlier. Like, when I was watching the show, I asked this question earlier. What's going to happen with Chris Bey and Jay White? Will Jay White look down on Chris Bey because he lost and he took the pin? And so, the question was answered. Usually when I have questions on this show, usually my questions are answered. So the question was answered later on that night. And so right after that, we had Fire and Flava. They were backstage. So that's Kiera, Hogan, and Tasha Steelz, who are the former Impact Knockouts Tag Team Champions. And so Fire and Flava, they said that they want their titles back. And so, yeah, so Fallah Bahh, he came out, he interrupted Tasha Steelz and Kiera Hogan while they were talking. And so Fallah Bahh, he wanted to ask one of these ladies to homecoming. That's on Saturday. And so Hogan thought that Fallah Bahh was asking her to homecoming on Saturday. But Fallah Bahh, he asked Tasha Steelz instead. And Tasha Steelz, she was throwing shade at Kiera Hogan by getting pinned at Slammiversary. And so still she accepted. She accepted the invitation from Fallah Bahh to go with him at homecoming. And so Fallah Bahh, he had like flowers and everything. He gave the flowers to Tasha Steelz. And so still she had said that, it's not a dance, it's not an actual homecoming, it's a tournament. And so yeah, so Fallah Bahh, he left. So yeah, still she took the flowers. And so Fallah, he left. And so right after he left, Fire and Flava, they started talking trash behind Fallah's back. And so that was it with that. So it's gonna be Tasha Steelz and Fallah Bahh in that homecoming tournament. And the winners of that homecoming tournament will be the king and queen of homecoming. What else? What else will they get besides being the king and queen of homecoming? Will they get a championship, a future championship match? That's what I would go. Not only become the king and queen of homecoming, but get a championship match out of it. A championship for the men, a championship of their choosing, and for the women, the knockouts championship. And so yeah, man, that was it with that. And so right after that, we had Kaleb with Tenille Dashwood versus Taylor Wilde. So at first I thought it was Tenille Dashwood versus Taylor Wilde, but it was Kaleb with a K versus Taylor Wilde. And so yeah, man, this is okay, man, but I don't know why Kaleb is competing in women's matches. I really don't know why. But yeah, but Kaleb is a joke. Nobody cares about Kaleb. So yeah, kicks to Kaleb. We had a clothesline to Wilde, and then Wilde started fighting back. Kaleb hit a thrust kick to Wilde, and she kicked out. And so Kaleb, he tried to use a weapon against Wilde, but the referee took it away from him. And so we had a tornado DDT to Kaleb on the floor. So that was a nice move. And we had a poison Rana to Kaleb, which is also a nice move. And so to end the match, we had Taylor Wilde. She hit a German suplex with a bridge to pin Kaleb for the win. So Taylor Wilde wins the match. And that was it. That was it with the match. And so yeah, man. So right after that, we had Bey, the ultimate finesser. Bey, he was backstage with Jay White, who is the never openweight champion. And so yeah, so Bey, they were talking about their match that they had with the Good Brothers earlier tonight. And so Bey, he said that he's gonna take responsibility for his loss as a member of the Bullet Club. And so White, he was like, whoa, 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 whoa. You're not a member of the Bullet Club yet. You think it's that easy getting into the Bullet Club? You're not in the Bullet Club yet. If you want to be a part of the Bullet Club, you're gonna have to prove yourself. And so White, he has said that, I'm all about redemption. And what you need to do, Bey, you gotta redeem yourself. So I'm gonna show you. I'm about to show you in a second. And so keep that in mind. He said he was gonna show him something. And so yeah, so that was it with that. And so right after that, we had Josh Alexander, who is the X Division champion. And so Josh, he was talking backstage. He said that he wants to be the face of Impact Wrestling, but he cannot be the face of Impact Wrestling by sitting down and doing nothing. So Alexander, he says that he wants competition. He wants contenders for his championship. He wants competition. So Scott D'Amore, he heard Josh Alexander speak, and so he interrupted. And so Scott, he made a match with Josh Alexander versus Black Taurus for the X Division Championship at Homecoming. So yeah, that should be really good, man. Black Taurus is really good, really is. And at first when he came in, I liked how they built him up too as this undefeated monster, man. But they had him lose, and they had him be a part of a tag team, and they made him lose. But yeah, man. So yeah, that was it with that. So Josh Alexander versus Black Taurus, and so yeah, man, that was it with that. And so right after that, we had a backstage interview from Gia Miller. She interviews Deonna Purrazzo, the virtuosa Deonna Purrazzo, who is the Impact Knockouts Women's Champion, or the Impact Knockouts Champion. And so Gia Miller, she asks Purrazzo, with your busy schedule, we know you have a busy schedule. You have these upcoming matches from different promotions. Are you doing too much? And so Purrazzo, she was offended by that question that Gia Miller asked. And so Purrazzo, she said that, she can handle it all. You know, even though I'm a busy person, since I have all these commitments to these other promotions, I can handle it all. If Kenny Omega can do it, I can do it too. And so she said that she will take care of business. And so Purrazzo, she said that she will be training with an MMA star to add, add a new style to her repertoire. And so we had the MMA star. I forgot who her name was, but she showed up with Deonna Purrazzo. And so the lady, she said that Purrazzo is a force to be reckoned with. And Purrazzo, she says that, she will enter the homecoming tournament. And so Gia Miller, she asked who her partner will be. And so Purrazzo, she said that, you're going to have to watch. You're going to have to wait and see who my partner is. And so that was it. So who's Deonna Purrazzo partner? I have one guess, and that's Steve Macklin. Steve Macklin, because, they're a couple in real life. So I'm guessing that Steve Macklin will be Deonna Purrazzo's partner. And plus Steve Macklin, he said that he wants competition. So he might enter himself into this tournament with Deonna Purrazzo by his side. So yeah, man, that was it with that. And so right after that, we had Fallah Bahh. So we had an 8-man tag team match. So it was Fallah Bahh, No Way Jose, or No Way, whatever you want to call him, and FinJuice. That's David Finlay and Juice Robinson versus Ace Austin, Madman Fulton, Rohit, Raju, and Shera. So yeah, man. So yeah, we had Fallah Bahh and Fulton. They were going at it, and then the baby faces, they took control of Fulton. And so Raju, he went right after Fallah's leg. And so the heels took control of Fallah. And so Fallah, he ended up fighting back. He had a bonsai drop to Austin to create some space. And we had a hot tag to Finlay. He took out Raju. And we had a choke breaker to Raju from Finlay. So the choke breaker, once again, is the choke slam mixed with a back breaker. And so Shera, he took out Finlay and the rest of the baby faces. And so FinJuice, they took out Shera. They hit a double team move on Shera. And so we had a pop-up punch to Raju from No Way Jose. And so we had the end of days to No Way Jose from Fulton. And so Fallah Bahh, he ended up stopping the cover. And we had a Samoan drop to Fulton for Fallah in midair. So Fulton, he jumped off the middle rope. And so Fallah Bahh hit him with a Samoan drop in midair. And so Austin, he hit like a spinning splash on everybody that was outside the ring. And so Austin, he was going on the top rope again to try to do the same thing, or hit a different high flying move. But Finlay, he had pushed Austin off of the top rope and knocked him on everybody outside the ring. And so to end the match, we had Finlay, he hit the Ushigoroshi to Raju, or the Thrash Panda. I think that's what they call it, the Thrash Panda, from Finlay to win the match. And that was it. So FinJuice and Fallah Bahh. FinJuice, Fallah Bahh, and No Way Jose wins the match. And that was it, man. It was a fun match, man. Crowd was into this match. And so yeah, so I don't know what they're doing with Austin, Shera, Austin, Fulton, Raju, and Shera. I really don't know what they're doing with them. Why are they still teaming? Last week they stood tall together, so I was guessing that there'll be another heel faction. But dude, they lost. They lost tonight. So what's gonna be the point of putting them together if they're gonna keep losing? I don't know, man. I don't know. And plus, if you want to debut a faction, man, you gotta have these people win. You gotta have a faction win. You gotta have them win so people can take them seriously. Because if you keep having somebody lose time and time again, nobody ain't gonna care. Nobody will care. So yeah, man, that was it with that. And so yeah, man. So right after that, we had Gia Miller. She interviews Kenny by God Omega, who is the AEW World Champion, the Mega Heavyweight Champion, and the Unified World Champion of Impact Wrestling, Kenny by God Omega. So yeah, so she was at his locker room door, and so she knocked on the door. Don Callis came out and spoke, and so he hyped up the Elite, and so Kenny Omega, he ended up coming out the locker room, and so Tommy Dreamer, he interrupted both of these guys. And so Callis, he had said that Tommy Dreamer was wearing cheap cologne. And so Dreamer, he said that, there will be a #1 contenders battle royal match. And the winner will get a shot at Kenny Omega at Emergence. I think that's the name of the pay-per-view, Emergence. And so the #1 contenders battle royal is going to be at homecoming. And so whoever wins that match will be a part of, the main event at Emergence against Omega for the Impact World Championship. And so Omega and Callis, they were not happy about the news, so they were on their way to the ring to address that next. And so right after that, we had a vignette from I'm guessing Aiden English, because it says Drama King, and the only person in wrestling that called himself the Drama King was Aiden English, and when he was in WWE or NXT. And so yeah, so Aiden English or whatever you want to call him, he started destroying some masks. So he destroyed some masks backstage. So that was it. And so you had that painting Drama King again. And so yeah, man, that was it. So Aiden English will be on his way to Impact Wrestling. And so yeah, man. So right after that, we have FinJuice. So we have FinJuice. That's David Finlay and Juice Robinson. They were backstage. They spoke, and so they said they were going back after their tag team titles that they lost to Violent by Design. So they're gonna have to get it from Gallows and Anderson since since Violent by Design not the champions anymore. Which I still don't agree with, man. Violent by Design still should have held on to those titles. And so yeah, so while FinJuice and Dave and Finlay, or FinJuice rather, while they were talking about getting their tag team titles back, we had Jay White and Chris Bey. They took out FinJuice backstage, and so earlier when Jay White said that he's gonna show Chris Bey something, that was that something. So Jay White and Chris Bey, they took out FinJuice, and so White, he started talking trash to Finlay, saying that you will never beat me. And the reason why Jay White is going after the FinJuice guys because they got beef in New Japan Pro Wrestling, so that's why they're going after each other. And when Jay White first showed up in Slammiversary, it was Finlay, it was David Finlay that took out Jay White towards the end of the show. And so yeah, man. So oh yeah, and also their opponents at that that New Japan show, that pay-per-view. And so yeah, man, that was it with that. And so right after that, we had Kenny by God Omega, the AEW World Champion, AAA Mega Heavyweight Champion, and the Unified World Champion of Impact Wrestling with Don Callis, the Invisible Hand, and the Good Brothers, who are the Impact Tag Team Champions. That's Doc Gallows and Karl Anderson. So they all came out to the ring. They spoke. And so we had a "You Got Fired" chant from the crowd to Don Callis. And so Callis, he started talking about the aftermath of Slammiversary with Omega and the Good Brothers winning their respective matches. And so Callis, he doesn't appreciate the vendetta that Impact Wrestling has against Kenny Omega. And so Sami Callihan interrupted. And so Callis calls Callihan a piece of garbage. And so Callihan, he said that the Elite are a bunch of bitch. And so we had a bunch of bitches chant from the crowd. And so Sami Callihan, he said that, he's done with Omega. No, he's not done with Omega. He's not done with Omega. And he said that he will win the Battle Royal. So Sami Callihan just inserted himself in that Battle Royal. So Callihan is in the Battle Royal, so I'm guessing he will win the Battle Royal. So yeah, so Callihan, he said that he will win the Battle Royal and he will be going after Omega. And so Callihan, he said, why wait until Emergence when we could do it next week? So yeah, so Callihan, he said that next week is going to be, Callihan and two partners of his choosing versus Omega and the Good Brothers. So he challenged them to a 6-man tag. And so yeah, so right after that, we had Sami Callihan. He told Omega, he better watch his back. And so right after that, we had a hooded person attack the Elite from behind. So we had that hooded person was Frankie Kazarian from AEW. So Frankie Kazarian is back in the Impact Zone for after, I think they said 7 years or something like that, or 8 years that he's been away from Impact Wrestling. So yeah, so Frankie Kazarian, he's actually a TNA OG. Been there since the very beginning. And so yeah, so we had a welcome back chant from the crowd to Frankie Kazarian, so that was nice. So the Elite Hunter attacked the Elite, because they got beef in AEW, Frankie Kazarian and the Elite. And so yeah, man, so that's it. So Frankie Kazarian is back in the Impact Zone. And so yeah, so right after that we had Sami Callihan. Sami Callihan and Frankie Kazarian, they were backstage. They celebrated their moment that they had in the ring. And so they ran into Tommy Dreamer, who was backstage. So they talked to Tommy Dreamer. So Dreamer, he had welcomed Kazarian back to the Impact Zone. And so Dreamer, he said that, he's going to find him a final partner for that 6-man tag team match against the Elite. And so Kazarian, he wanted Tommy Dreamer. He wanted Tommy Dreamer to team up with them. And so Dreamer, he said, no, it's not my fight. I'm not going to do it. And so Dreamer, he whispered in both Kazarian's ears, Kazarian and Sami Callihan's ears, telling them who their third partner is, or their final partner will be. And so Kazarian, he said, that'll work. We didn't hear what he said, but Kazarian, he said that, that'll work. And Callihan said, not a chance. It's not going to work. And so whoever that partner was, Sami Callihan did not like. So we did find out who the partner was, which I mentioned earlier in the start of the show. So yeah, right after that, we had a vignette from Su Yung. So the Susan turned back to Su Yung. So Su Yung is back. So Su Yung and Kimber Lee. So Kimber Lee, she turned into Su Yung too. So Kimber Lee is possessed by Su Yung. And so they both said, time has come. So yeah, man. So they could probably be vying after the tag team titles, the Impact Knockouts tag titles. And they might end up winning it. They might end up winning the titles. And so yeah, right after that, we had Brian Myers, the most professional wrestler. Brian Myers and Sam Bill, his protege. They were backstage. They spoke about Homecoming. Myers, because he still doesn't have a partner for Homecoming. And so Myers, he said that, his partner will be Queen Extreme, Francine from ECW back in the day, will be his partner. And so they got on FaceTime. So Sam Bill had set up Francine to be Myers' partner. And so they called her on a phone. They called him on their phone, or Myers' phone. So they talked to her on FaceTime. And so Francine, she thanked Myers for supporting her on all her social media platforms. And so Francine, she was also mad. She was mad at Brian Myers for, her being his second choice. So, she was upset that Brian Myers didn't go to her first. And so yeah, she started arguing with Brian Myers over the phone, saying that, you're not even in my league. And so she hung up the phone. And so yeah, that was a no. So Francine, she said no, because Brian Myers didn't even go to her first. And then Myers, he started blaming Bill as always. So Myers, he blamed Bill for Francine saying no. And so yeah, I asked this question last week. Who exactly would want to team up with Brian Myers? I don't know. I don't know who would want to team up with this guy. And whoever it is, man, who would it be? I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know who it would be. It could really be anybody, man. It really can. But we'll find out at that Homecoming show. And so yeah, right after that, we had a tag team match, and it was Violent by Design. That's Rhino and Diener representing Violent by Design, with Eric Young and Joe Doring in their corner versus Rich Swann and Willie Mack. So yeah, so Violent by Design, they took out both Rich Swann and Mack during their entrance. And so Swann and Mack, they fought back. Swann and Mack fought back. And so we had an over-the-top rope splash to Rhino and Diener from Swann. We had a double flapjack to Diener from Mack and Swann. He kicked out. And then Swann, he was distracted by Eric Young, who was swinging the Violent by Design flag. And so Diener, he took advantage of it. We had a power slam to Swann from Diener, and he kicked out. And so Swann started fighting back. We had a hot tag to Mack, took out Diener. A Samoan drop followed up by a standing moonsault from Mack to Diener, and then Diener had kicked out. And then Eric Young, he grabbed Willie Mack by the boot. So yeah, this is the first time Eric Young got involved while he was, accompanying Violent by Design. He never got involved in the match, besides talking smack to his opponents. So yeah, this is the first time that he got physical, because, he really can't get physical because he's hurt. So Eric Young, he could be back in the ring really soon. So yeah, man. So we had a double team move to Mack from Violent by Design. And we had a jumping cutter. To Rhino from Swann. He kicked out. We had a stunner to Rhino from Mack. We had a 450 splash to end the match. We had a 450 splash to Rhino from Rich Swann to win the match. So Rich Swann and Willie Mack wins the match. And that was it. So this is a good match, but I don't know why Violent by Design is losing. Why are they losing? And especially Rhino. Why they pin Rhino? instead of Diener. Diener is the person that should take the pin because he's the weaker member of Violent by Design. And they had him pin Rhino, man. So yeah, man. So first they lost their tag team titles to the Good Brothers in that fatal 4-way match, and then they blamed Rich Swann and Willie Mack for them losing their titles and all that stuff. And now they lost. Now they lost to Willie Mack and Rich Swann. Dude, what are you doing with Violent by Design, man? Why would you take the titles off of them? That's the one thing I didn't agree with. Why would you take the titles off of Violent by Design? Like they just had the titles. They ain't much had a chance to defend those titles. They really didn't. You know, in front of a crowd, man. They ain't get a chance to defend those titles besides that Slammiversary. They ain't get much had a program yet with the titles in front of fans. So yeah, man, they should have held on to those titles a lot longer, man. A lot longer. But I don't know why. Like you took it off of the Violent by Design guys to give it right back to the Good Brothers, man. Like they went from the Good Brothers to it went from the Good Brothers to FinJuice, from FinJuice to Violent by Design, from Violent by Design right back to the Good Brothers. So dude, what are we doing here? Why are we going back and forth with these titles? I don't know, man. But yeah, but if there's one thing that Impact Wrestling needs, man, it needs more tag teams. It needs more tag teams. They're trying with their tag team division, but we need more tag teams. I'll probably bring some AEW tag teams down there in Impact Wrestling to vie after those titles. Some of the AEW tag teams that you're not using, I'll send them to Impact and go after those titles since we have this Forbidden Door storyline and talent from each show going on to different shows. You have New Japan talent showing up on Impact. You have New Japan talent showing up on Dynamite. Why haven't we seen Impact talent showing up on Dynamite? We're starting to see more AEW talent show up on Impact. Tonight we saw Frankie Kazarian. Why aren't there more Impact stars showing up on Dynamite? That's what I want to know. That's what I want to know. Why? But yeah, man, that was it with that. So yeah, so right after that we had the Swingers Palace. So yeah, so we had Johnny Swinger and the rest of the suspects that were backstage for the Swingers Palace. And yeah, they asked about the main event or who they're betting on in the main event between Moose and Chris Sabin. And so Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green they showed up backstage in the Swingers Palace. So they wanted to know, who they got for the tournament, who they're gonna win for the tournament. So Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green they are in the tournament. And congratulations to Matt Cardona, by the way, man. He beat Nick effing Gage at the GCW event to become the GCW World Champion. So Matt Cardona is the GCW. He's the new GCW World Champion. So congratulations to Matt Cardona, man. It was a brutal match, man. I saw it, man. It was a brutal match. Guy had blood everywhere, and they were throwing beer bottles and trash at Matt Cardona. And so yeah, man, that was a crazy night, man. Crazy night. Never would have thought that Matt Cardona would have won a deathmatch championship or be in a deathmatch period. So yeah, but congratulations to Matt Cardona by beating Nick effing Gage to become the new GCW World Champion. But yeah, man, so we had the home. So they mentioned the homecoming tournament in the Swingers Palace having an open slot, one open slot left. And so we had Hernandez and Alicia Edwards. They inserted themselves into the tournament. So it's going to be Hernandez and Alicia Edwards partaking in this homecoming tournament. And so, yeah, we had Petey Williams and Jordan Grace. They showed up in the Swingers Palace. So they were dressed up as Scott Steiner, going over the numbers, what Scott Steiner did, the probabilities, I guess. I think that's what they call it in math. So, yeah, so we had W. Morrissey. He came in and ruined all the fun. The music had cut. And so Morrissey, he was like, man, what the hell is this place? And so Morrissey, they thought Morrissey was here to cause some trouble, but he wasn't there to fight. And so Morrissey said he wasn't there to fight, but he has a message for Alicia Edwards. So he spoke to Alicia Edwards, who is part of the Swingers Palace as the Swingerellas. Alicia Edwards, who was also Eddie Edwards' wife. And so Morrissey, he told Alicia, like, hey, when I'm done with Eddie, I will make sure that he'll never come back home to you ever again. And so that was it. So Morrissey left. And yeah, so of course it's gonna be W Morrissey versus Eddie Edwards in a hardcore match in that homecoming show. And so yeah, right after that we had Gia Miller. She interviews Eddie Edwards. Speaking of Alicia Edwards, she interviewed Gia Miller did. She interviews Eddie Edwards. And so Eddie Edwards, he said, yeah, he does have a wife, but who does W Morrissey has? He has nobody. And so Edwards, he said that he had him in the parking lot brawl, and he's gonna beat him at the hardcore match on Saturday. And so Edwards, he said that Impact Wrestling is Eddie Edwards, so he's the heart and soul of the company. And so Dreamer, he interrupts Eddie Edwards and wants Eddie Edwards to team up with Callihan and Frankie Kazarian. So that was the third partner. So Eddie Edwards is the third partner. And so Eddie Edwards, he didn't want to because based off of the history that him and Sami Callihan had, Sami Callihan breaking his face with that baseball bat. So that's why Eddie Edwards does not want to team up with Callihan, because he doesn't trust him. And so Dreamer, he told Edwards that, hey man, you gotta put your differences aside. And then he said that if Sami Callihan tries something in that 6-person tag team match, I'm gonna be the first person. I'm gonna be the first person to beat him up. I'm gonna beat him up. I'm gonna put my hands on him. And so, Dreamer, he says that Edwards, you have to do it, man. You gotta do it for you. You gotta do it for me. You have to do it for the fans. Because we need to take the elite out. And so Edwards, he said that he trusts Tommy Dreamer with his life, so he agreed. He agreed to partake in this 6-person tag. And so the 6-person tag is gonna be Eddie Edwards, Frankie Kazarian, and Sami Callihan versus the Elite. So that's Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. So that should be really good, man. That should be really good. And how would Eddie Edwards and Sami Callihan would coexist in this match? That's the thing. How would they coexist in this match? Since they got this long history and none of these guys like each other. So yeah, so that should be really good, man, next week. And so yeah, and so right after that, before we get into the main event, let's talk about next week's show and Homecoming. So yeah, so next week we only have 1 week, 1 week for next week. So we have that 6-person tag. So there's gonna be Kenny by God Omega, who is the AEW World Champion, the AAA Mega Heavyweight Champion, and the Unified World Champion of Impact Wrestling. And the Good Brothers, who are the Impact Tag Team Champions, Impact World Tag Team Champions. That's Doc Gallows and Karl Anderson, with Don Callis in their corner, the Invisible Hand Don Callis, versus Frankie Kazarian. So this is gonna be his first match back in Impact Wrestling. So Frankie Kazarian, the Elite Hunter, the Draw Sami Callihan, and Eddie Edwards in a 6-person tag team match next week. So yeah, so at Homecoming we have W Morrissey versus Eddie Edwards in a hardcore match. I'm going with I don't want to say Eddie Edwards, but no, I don't want to say Eddie Edwards because you gotta have W Morrissey win all the way. You gotta have W Morrissey win because after this win, he gotta go after a championship, man. He can't be this dominant and can't go after a championship. Period. I'll send him after the X Division Championship first before you can get him to a World Championship. So yeah, so after this match, he needs to go after a championship because look at the people that he beaten, man. He beaten Rich Swann, who is also a former X Division champion and a former Impact World Champion. He beat Willie Mack, who is also an X Division champion. He's beaten. Who else did he beat? Did he beat Eddie Edwards? Everybody that he's beaten, dude. Everybody that he's beaten. Everybody that he's been in the ring with, he's beaten. So right after this, man, he needs to go over to somebody else. Go after the X Division title. Go after Josh Alexander. That would be a great match. Him versus Josh Alexander, man, should be really good. And also we have Josh Alexander. Speaking of the X Division Championship, we have Josh Alexander versus Black Taurus and for the X Division Championship. So Josh Alexander will retain the championship. There's no way that they're dropping that title. And also we had the homecoming tournament, King and Queen tournament, or the winners will become King and Queen. And so not only will they become King and Queen, this what I would do. Not only will they become King and Queen, I will have them go after their respective championships. The women go after the Impact Knockouts Championship, and the men have a choice whether they want to go for the X Division title or the Impact World Championship. And so yeah, man. So in this tournament we have Hernandez and Alicia Edwards, and we have they're going up against Deonna Purrazzo and a partner of her choosing. So it's gonna be Steve Macklin, man. It's gonna be Steve Macklin. So it's gonna be Deonna Purrazzo and Steve Macklin versus Hernandez and Alicia Edwards. So I'm guessing Deonna Purrazzo and Steve Macklin will advance to the next round. And we have Petey Williams and Jordan Grace versus Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green. Oh man, I'm going with Matt Cardona and Chelsea Green to advance in the next round. So it's gonna be Deonna Purrazzo and Steve Macklin versus Chelsea Green and Matt Cardona. So that should be good. And so I'll send Macklin and Purrazzo in the finals on the left side. Now on the right side we have Crazy Steve and Rosemary versus Fallah, Bahh, and Tasha Steelz. So, I don't know about this one. I'll go with Fallah, Bahh. And Tasha Steelz. Wait, Rosemary is one half of the Impact Knockouts Tag Team title champions. So they might go with Crazy Steve and Rosemary, but I don't know. Maybe Crazy Steve and Rosemary. But my gut telling me Fallah, Bahh, and Tasha Steelz. And then also on the right side we have Tommy Dreamer and Rachel Ellering versus Brian Myers and a partner of his choosing. Now this partner for Brian Myers, I don't know who it is. I really don't know. But it's going to be Brian Myers and a partner of his choosing advancing to the match, to the next round. So it's going to be Crazy Steve and Rosemary versus Myers and a partner of his choosing. I'm going with Myers to go to the finals. So if they go to the finals, it's going to be Deonna Purrazzo and Steve Macklin versus Brian Myers. Brian Myers and a partner of his choosing. So yeah, I'll have Deonna Purrazzo and Steve Macklin win the whole thing. I'll have them win the whole thing, and have Deonna Purrazzo win the tournament and become queen, because that's her whole gimmick, the virtuosa. And so yeah, man, and she carries herself like a queen. So I'll probably give the tournament to her and Steve Macklin if Steve Macklin is the partner. And so yeah, man, so that was it. And those are my predictions for Slammiversary, Homecoming. And so yeah, man, so that was it with that. And so right after that we had the main event. So it was Moose versus Chris Sabin. So yeah, so Sabin, he used his speed against Moose. And so Sabin, he ran right after Moose's leg. We had roll-ups to Moose. And we had a figure 4 leg lock to Moose. And he rolled out of the ring to break up the submission move. And Moose, he started slamming Sabin into the steel steps. And so at that point, the crowd was flipped 50-50. So there were one part of the crowd was chanting for Moose, and the other side was chanting for Sabin. And we had a drop kick to Sabin from Moose, which was nice, man. I love the height that he got, man, off of that drop kick. Seeing a big guy hit a drop kick like that and the height that he got was freaking impressive. And then Moose, he started throwing Sabin across the ring. And so Moose, at one point, he had took somebody's water bottle. He started spraying a water bottle, or poured a water bottle in Sabin's face. And so he chopped Chris Sabin like loud. The chop was really loud, bro. Like it echoed throughout the building. And so Moose, he gave Sabin a finger. He gave him the middle finger. And, he was, talking trash to Sabin while he gave him the finger. And so Sabin had bit Moose on a finger. And so, yeah, so Sabin, he was actually fighting back. And so Moose, he actually chopped the ring post. So that had to hurt. And so we had a diving crossbody to Moose outside the ring. And then we had a enziguri kick to Moose. And he kicked out at 1. And so we had strikes to Moose. And so it started to fire up Moose. And so Sabin hit a super kick on Moose. And we had a diving DDT to Moose. And he kicked out. So that diving DDT was really nice, man. Beautiful. And so Moose kicked out of that, and Saban tried to go for his finishing move, that cradle shock. And so Moose, he reversed it. So he went right at the Chris Saban's eyes. And so to end the match, we had Moose, he had his finishing move, the lights out or the spear, to Chris Saban to win the match. So Moose wins the match. So right after the match, Moose, he picked up Saban and he threw him out of the ring, which he thought he did. He thought he threw him out of the ring, so he started celebrating. And so Saban, he had held on to the rope. And so he dove onto Moose, gave him a crossbody inside the ring. And so Moose, he had rolled out of the ring. And so Saban gave a tope suicida to Moose. And so the security guys, they came out there to break up the fight. And so the crowd started chanting, let them fight, let them fight. And that was it, man. That was it with the show. So yeah, really good match, man. Crowd was into this match. It really were. And, both of these guys are really good. Moose, of course, is one of my favorites in Impact Wrestling, man. I still don't know why he hasn't been world champion yet. Really don't know why. And Saban, man, Saban is really good, man. Either as a tag team or a singles guy, he's really good. I'm still waiting for Alex Shelley, man. Where is Alex Shelley? But yeah. But with this, man, since they're 1-1 now, we might have another rematch with these guys. Based off of what happened at the end of the match. These guys going after each other the entire time. And so right after that, who will win? I'm going with Moose. Moose, I'm telling you, man, Moose is the type of guy that you always want to have win. So I'll have Moose win this rubber match that they have coming up, whenever it'll be. And right after that, man, we gotta get Moose back to the championship. We gotta get Moose right after the championship. Since he already been after the world championship, will he go after the X Division championship? Will Moose go after the X Division championship? I don't know. I probably wouldn't go that way. I probably wouldn't. I see Moose as a main event guy. So have him go after the world title. Because Kenny Omega, he's going to lose one of those titles. He will lose one of those titles. I don't know when it's going to be. But, man, it's a crime, man, that you don't have Moose as a world champion. If I'm running a company, man, and if I have Moose on my roster, Moose is my world champion. He is my world champion. Just look at this guy. Look at him. This dude is built as a world champion. This guy, I said this last week, man. He's like that perfect professional wrestler. He's got the size, he got the skills, he got the athleticism for a guy his size, man. Should not be moving like that. But yeah, man. Why haven't they gave the title to Moose yet? Why? But yeah, man, that was it with the show, man. Good show, man. Good show. They did a great job building up for next week's show with that 6-man tag team match and, building up to Homecoming. Homecoming felt like it came out of nowhere, though. It really did. But, I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, man. As far as the matches, though, matches were just there. The only matches that were important were the Moose and Saban match and the Chris Bey, Jay White versus the Good Brothers match. That's the only matches that were important on the show. And of course the fans being there just made the show better. But yeah, man, that was it, man. That was it with Impact Wrestling for July 29th, 2021 on D Ryan Awesome Show. And yeah, man, if you like this video, man, what are you waiting for, man? Hit the thumbs up. Hit the thumbs up. And if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. And right next to that subscribe button, there's a bell. Make sure you click on that bell so you'll be the first ones to know when my next video is uploaded, because I'm here every single week. Tuesday for NXT, Wednesday for Dynamite, AEW Dynamite, Thursday for Impact Wrestling, and Saturday, Sunday, I'm here for pay-per-views, whether it's WWE, AEW, or Impact Wrestling. I'm there. And yeah, man, and I'll see you guys on... Yeah, I still got to do my Pro Wrestling Crate, so it might be on Friday. I might do it on Friday or either Saturday. If not Friday, Saturday, probably Sunday. If not, Monday. But yeah, I'll see you guys on Saturday for Homecoming. See you guys for Saturday for Homecoming, for Impact Wrestling Homecoming. And yeah, man. And yeah, so hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, comment down below, tell me how you felt about this episode of Impact Wrestling. And yeah, man. And if you miss anything, if you missed my last week's review of Impact Wrestling, the video is going to be right up here in this corner. And the link to that video will be down below in the description. So make sure you click either up here or down below in the description if you miss anything. And follow me on Twitter, man. Follow me on Twitter at Ryan Awesome Show. And yeah, man, once again, I'll see you guys on Saturday for Homecoming. And yeah, man. And once again, guys, thank you for the love and support for the show. Thank you, and thank you, man. And this has been the Ryan Awesome Show. Take care, stay safe, and don't forget to be awesome. And that's that.